Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Today it's time to give Central Park a needed trim. I'll show you what I mean. So as you can see, it's quite a bit extended beyond where it should, but this gives me a nice opportunity to go for more bifurcation this early in the season, to pretty up some of the ugly trees. Let's give it a go. I always start with the tree on the rock. As you can see, it's developing some nice roots over here on the rock, and this one actually goes down, and you can actually see it under there. Probably not from this view, but it goes down, and then that little piece you see right there, that's the root going down. So what I'd like to do is generate some roots on this side, and when I'm done with this pruning, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the moss that's on this side, because if the roots extend here, they'll just hit the concrete or hit the bricks here, and unless they go down this way or up this little hill and down this way, and that just would look awkward. But I would like them to come this way, so I'm going to move this moss over to this side and see if I can find some root tips to encourage to grow down this way. All right, let's look at that tree. I did see some spider mites. How best for you to follow along? I think if I were to prune on this side, you'd be able to see what I'm doing best. And I'll jiggle the tree so you can clearly see it. This is doing beautifully on this side. I like what it's doing. I'm not even going to touch this side. Let's work on the top. All right, so it's fortunate I'm not going to touch here because I'm working from this side. Here is a branch that has nicely bifurcated and bifurcated again and bifurcated again. Exactly what I want. If there are stubs from prior prunings, I'll try and clean those up, but they are so small. So there really isn't a lot in the way of dieback on these trees. But I want this to further accentuate this side of the tree. So I'm going to go way back on this branch. Is that too far? I'll leave a lot of a stub. And I'm going to let this branch just fill this area. Just let it grow. Down here, I want to encourage this growth, but to grow in this direction a little bit. I'm going to clear out the leaves that are right there, making it not look like an intersection, but more like a cluster. Sometimes it's easier just to reach in with your fingers and pluck out the leaves. Yeah, I'll cut this one to here. Well, maybe I'll go real short. And I do want to conserve the new growth here. Okay, this branch. Nice tiny leaves here, but these are facing in and are getting shaded out. So I think I want to discourage this side of the tree. Cut that out. Clean up a stub here. What has this done? It is bifurcated nicely, but it hasn't extended all that much. So I'm going to leave it, just clean up old stubs. And the old stubs are tiny in this instance. I can do a better job with that stub at a later date. This just needs to be shortened, I think, to here. So this leaf will encourage a branch in that direction. Some of the leaves are hitting my backdrop here, but I'm not caring about them all that much today. All right, then I've got to be sensitive to how the trees are interacting interior. So I'm going to try and redirect this branch in that direction by cutting to a leaf that's facing that direction. And that may or may not work. I don't think the branch is going to die because of that, that's for sure. Here we've got one curling around, but it's a nice branch. Cutting it to there. Now I've got to deal with this guy, this tall guy. This is the leader of the tree. And it's got a branch coming out competing with this one. I think I'd like to keep something and encourage it to grow in this direction. So I'm cutting it way back. That's a great cutting for planting, and I may just do that. This is got a pruning stub there. Pruning stub here. One there. And I want to encourage this to grow in that direction. So I'm cutting it to a leaf that's facing that direction. This branch, clear apex here. Can I get it to do anything else? I'd like to. I'd like it to be a little taller. I'm going to cut it to here. From this branch to here. One more. It's a little long here. I'm going to go to here. Should I go one further? Yeah, I'll go one further back and encourage a branch or the branch to continue in this direction. This tree is all pruned up and the branch structure is looking fantastic. And right there is a little spider web with a little spider right in the middle. I don't know if that's a spider mite. I know they're tiny and I don't see red very clearly. There's a bunch more stubs I can clean up on this tree, and I'll do that. Very nice. Very nice little tree. I love it. Look at that. Okay, moving on. I usually go to this tree next. And this is the last tree I'll prune up live for you. The rest I'm going to speed through because once you see how I'm doing this, hopefully you don't need to see all of them. All right, I'm cutting this just to generate a bifurcation. I want to cut this because it's starting to interfere with this tree, and there's a leaf in this direction, so I want the branch to zigzag more in that direction. have interference here, so I'm going to cut this end off. Now the trees are totally separate. Hope you can see that. I've always liked this growing over the walkway, but it's a little too thick to leave the dappled sunlight that I like. So how do I thin it out? I'm going to thin it out by taking off a lot of these leaves, cluttering the center. Oh, I'm just going to cut the tips off of these. No, I don't think so. I'm just going to cut the leaves off on the inside here. It's good to question your every move. All right, so I want to separate this from the leaves above it. See if I can get a better view of that for you. Okay, looking from above, you can see this branch growing over the top of this branch here. And if I get rid of that and I shorten some of this, that'll have its own space in the sun. So how best to do that, I think, is to take this whole thing off. Now I've got good separation here. May not be the best view for you. Let me try and fix that. All right, what I did there is create separation between this pad and the one above it by cutting off something that was going over it. Basically a branch coming from here. Now I want to cut the end off of this. I've already got a little piece of a branch heading in that direction, so that's good. This is going to start to interfere with this other tree here. So I'm trying to act like nature here. And instead of the tree just being shaded out and dying, I tried to mimic that or understand what's happening there and do what would happen naturally, but not on a beneficial time frame. In nature, trees find their own spots of light. This has grown nicely. The stub right here can reduce, and the tree does bifurcate. I'm going to get that down low though. I'm going to take that whole thing off. There's a bifurcation. A branch began down there, but it's interfering there. So, moving up the tree, it's pretty good down low. It's up top where it's so hard to see. Hopefully you can see the apex of the tree right here, and I'll try and work on that. But first, let's see if there's any interference developing here with the tree next to it. This is the tree in question. And I do see some interference right here. I'm going to try and work on one tree at a time. I did cut it back to there before, so this has been an ongoing problem. but I want to encourage it to grow on this side. So I'll cut that back, and I'll do something similar on the other side. Well, let me look at that again. Yeah, I'm not liking this at all. Just want to cut it way back. Get rid of this stub here. And I'm going to get rid of this too. That's cutting it back to before this latest growth. Now moving up the tree to a very complex apex here. I've got to pick a branch that's going to be the strongest apex. And I like how the trunk goes up and around this way here. So maybe I want this to be the apex, but it has to be balanced on this side. So let me change views again. So we're coming up from this tree, and this tree wants to be taller. How much taller? Let's start high. Start high and long. Okay, what's wrong with this? It's way too dense in here. If I want the apex to be higher than that. And I do. This is unfortunate because I have such a long internode between this leaf and this leaf. So this one's not the apex, and I'm going to cut it down to just above where I cut it down before, which is here. That's growing in toward the inside there. This branch, let's see. I have a little branch coming down in this direction. I'm going to favor that. So now this has become a sunlit pad of its own. This is interfering with that. Actually, I'm going to take this whole thing off right there. This is nice and healthy, but it clutters up the interior here. I'm going to take it right off. There's another one over there, this one, that also clutters up the interior. Take that off. That makes this wanting to be the apex of the tree. Back here, this forest branch, furthest branch. I'm going to take this part off of it because it's starting to interfere. Let's see, where do I want that to go? I can take it off to here. And some of this may become more clear to me after I prune the trees next to it. Okay, if this is my apex, then This can't go further than here. And this has to come back. And this gets shortened. It's my apex and I'll trim if I want to. This is still the apex. This is competing with the apex and it can come down to here. This little branch going toward the inside here. I think I'm going to eliminate the end of this branch. Take a few leaves off the interior here. That one goes back. I think I'm just going to cut the tip off of that and hope it starts going in the other direction. And this. Well, I'm going to start here. Just take the last leaf off there. And this one fans outward. I love that expression. Thank you, Nigel. And I think that tree is mostly pruned up. Wait. Trying to get more dappled sunlight here on the walkway. And I'm accomplishing that by removing some of the teensy-tiny leaves here. This is kind of crowded there too. I think I can alleviate some of that crowdedness with only a few minor cuts. Here's a branch competing with the branch next to it. Okay, I think this tree is as pruned as I want it to be at this phase. Let's do the rest in time lapse. And here is Central Park, all pruned up. All the trees are individualized. I did as much interference mitigation as I thought I should. Maybe I could use a little bit more over here, but nothing's really shading anything else out. This tree, which had a really ugly turn here, I don't feel so bad about right now, as long as this grows up. And I wanted to investigate remossing this side. All right, let's take a look at this. I've got some roots growing here. So let me get some water to spray on there and take a look at it. Yeah, if I can coax these roots over this hump and down here, that would look really, really nice. And so I've got to extract some moss from here. And there are some roots growing in that direction too. See if I can relocate those. But I want to coax these roots down into this space here. So I'm going to have to adhere some moss here. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, there are roots up here as well. Maybe it isn't so far-fetched. This is going to be hard to maintain. All right, so what can I do with this root? Could I further coax it into here? That might be cool. And I have to get some moss to cover this. Let's see. I think I want to keep this covered right here. A little bit of a root sticking out there too, isn't there? Let me see if I can find a little bit more moss to cover this over with. All right. Moss is a little different, but it should be able to grow here. And see if I can squish this down a little bit. Try to keep this moist. Shouldn't be too hard. This is in the greenhouse now. And I'm very happy to say it's going to take up a lot less space right now than it did just a scant few hours ago. All right. One more squirt. I have to keep that side facing me all the time to make sure I keep it moist. I'm going to let this root harden off like that. Kind of looks okay the way it hugged the rock. So that's it on Central Park. Give you one more spin. And thanks for keeping me company in my backyard.